Sam Williams, the father of Bronx basketball, the winningest coach in program history, 4 postseason appearances, 10 NBA draft picks, and a Coach of the Year award. On October 22nd, Williams passed away. He was 88.
Sam Williams meant so much to this institution, the athletic program, and the entire Rio Grande Valley. He was an educator here when Pan Am transitioned from a college to a university. Coach Williams was also a leading influence as a basketball coach in our transition from NAIA to Division I. A lot of people may not realize this, but during the transition, we actually spent a couple years at the Division II level and not only made the NCAA tournament, but we also won a first-round game.
Sam was a teacher of basketball. He knew how to coach players. He knew how to work with their egos.
He taught us to respect first each other. And because of that attitude on part of Coach Williams, we become oneness. And I think there were a lot of teams from my freshman year all the way up until graduation probably had better talent, but they were not a better team.
We went on to win a whole bunch of games. As a matter of fact, we went to the championship round 3 years in a row. Well, the first year we didn't. We went to the second round, and then the second year we win it, and the third year we went to the championship round. So he was a good coach.
The 1963 championship remains an iconic moment in Bronx history. It was made possible by a combination of talent, team chemistry, and desire, perfectly combined by Williams.
When you start talking about championship games, there's a whole lot of things that went in before that championship game. Started at practice. We found out that in practice that we wasn't a bad ball club. We were a real tight ball club. Everybody knew each other. Everybody was friends with each other. And when we started to play the game, it just all came together. And once it came together, we knew just about what every other player on the team was going to do. We would run our plays and we would run them to the tee. And he was sure that we got him right. So if we did right what he wanted us to do, we win. And naturally, if you don't do what a coach wants to do, you're going to lose.
You know, when we lose, it wasn't like we were like, oh man, we lost the ball. We felt bad for our coach because he worked so hard.
It wasn't just X's and O's that got the Bronx a championship. A big reason for Williams' success was a willingness to include the best players on his team, regardless of the color of their skin.
Most coaches during that era was struggling with integration. That was one of the things that I wanted to buy into. And I want to say that, and I want the people in the Valley to know, they don't know half the story of Coach Sam Williams, because he had every nationality that you could think of, but he treated us all, not all just the same, but he treated us decently and orderly and with respect. Not according to who you are, where you came from, because he loved his job, he loved his kids, and that's why we were successful.
It took a while before the players got to trusting each other, and I think, beating each other up on the practice court every day kind of did that. And once we got to traveling as a family, we kind of melded as a unit. Not that we didn't have problems, because we did have some, but they were really, really minor compared to the love that we had for each other ultimately.
Coach Williams had the kind of philosophy that most people don't understand. A lot of people, if you remember, they talked about the melting pot. That's where you take all the races in the United States and put them together and you utilize the cliche of a melting pot. Well, Coach Williams didn't fit that mold. Coach Williams approached us right where we were, and he wanted you to be who you are. And then that way, you won't have to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and wonder. Now, if you talk about a salad, that was Coach Williams' philosophy. Very few people understood that. Now, think of a salad. You go to a restaurant and you order a salad. All the ingredients, you are able to identify them and enjoy them and watch what they can do for you health-wise. That was Coach Williams' philosophy as far as blending this team together.
He was, the first ones to have an integrated team, and they played well together. There was no animosity.
One of the black players that Coach Williams brought in was Luke Jackson, who earned the NAIA Tournament MVP award before going on to play in an NBA All-Star game and win an Olympic gold medal.
When I went to Pan American, I was probably pretty well on my way to being developed. But one thing that he did do for me was that he recognized and understood that I would have to play a wing, play on the forward, and not as a center, because when you're going up to the NBA, there are bigger guys than you, so you might have to change. And I really appreciated him allowing me to play outside, facing the basket rather than my back to the basket. And then so happened when I got to the league, we got Will Chamberlain the second year, so now I got to move. So I moved, and now I'm comfortable there because I did it in school.
Getting players like Jackson to play here was no easy feat for Williams. After all, there was no field house yet.
He was a man of opportunity. He never promised you much, but he did promise us an opportunity for a good education and a good winning team in basketball. It's interesting because we all came down there. The national championship team came down to Edinburgh, Texas, and there was no gym. There was no dormitory, and there was no cafeteria. We came there on a promise based on the opportunity that Coach Williams was going to afford us. But I always got such a kick out of the opportunity because every time I'd get on him as an arrogant youth, and I'd say, Coach, we don't have a gym. We don't have this. We don't have that. He said, I never told you we'd have that. I just told you I'll give you the best opportunity of your life. Our national championship team and the runner-up team never played in that gym. And that gym was mainly designed by Coach Williams. And he spent a lot of time on it. But we actually played in a junior high field house my first 2 years, and then moved to Edinburgh High School my last 2 years.
Sam Williams was the original architect of the UTPA Fieldhouse, and as a thank you for that and so much more, the court was dedicated in his honor. In 2010, after UTPA installed a new court in the UTPA Fieldhouse, the Bronx rededicated the court to Williams and surprised him with a new title, Head Coach Emeritus.
When we installed the new court, the first thing we wanted to do was rededicate it to Sam Williams. We had a ceremony with Sam surrounded by his former players at the home opener a few years ago against Northwestern. And then he got a great and well-deserved surprise when Dr. Robert Nelson, the president of the university, named him men's basketball head coach emeritus. We wanted to make sure that all generations of Bronx, past, present, and future, understood the importance of Sam Williams to our program.
But Coach Williams was pretty much the main designer. And you know, it's interesting because they wanted to save money, and Coach Williams was such a valiant, he wanted to make sure that all of the Spanish architecture would be in place. You know, and even to the, you know, the half-moon glasses that you have around, the flying buttress you have off the walls. All of these things, he just didn't want to see the gym be different than the decor of the rest of the campus. It's a legacy because now your students that are attending the school are falling right into this legacy because every game starts with welcome to Sam Williams Court. The president wheeled Sam Williams out in a wheelchair out to show him his name on the court, and they shook hands right then and there, and it was the most amazing shaking hands I've ever seen. Those hands hit, and there was not a word to be said, and they both looked at each other. And Coach Williams was looking up and just saying, listen, I brought him as far as I could bring him. Now it's your turn. To the young president, he said, now it's your turn, and without words. And President Nelson just looked at him, and I know he was saying, listen, you've done your job, let me take it from here.
The legend of Sam Williams will forever live on in UTPA lore. From his lasting impact on Pan Am to his former players and colleagues, Williams was one in a million. Perhaps the highest praise comes from the only other head coach emeritus in UTPA history, legendary Bronx baseball coach Al Ogletree.
If I had a young boy that played basketball, I'd want him to play for Sam.